MLP story, The Zebra That Was Corrupted, Episode 2. It's been months. Z and Toxin have been traveling together throughout this wasteland. As they approached a fence. As the fence has several barbed wire and all that covering it. As Z goes up to it, what is this? Well, this is where we go into Raider territory, Toxin says. As he looks back, what? Yeah, so certain people put up, barbed wire around Raider territory to make sure they stay at least far away from them. Also, the Raiders put up this to make sure no trespassers come into their territory. As he looks around and sees the mountains that are just quite a bit far off that the recorder had mentioned. Hey, is it okay if we stop by those mountains? That's in Raider territory, but it's on the edge of Raider territory, all the way across. We could have time to stop by it, but I don't recommend it. It's on the edge of Raider territory, a bit outward of it, but still. So it's not completely in Raider territory? No. They use it as a kind of what do I say? Just another obstacle. They leave it alone. I don't know why. Probably because the beasts have that area under control in their territory. Beasts? Yeah, some, monsters happen to be roaming around the Raider territory. They usually let them be doing whatever they want while the Raiders get away with what they want to do. Anyway, move aside. I'm going to try to break through the barbed wire and we can get in. As he looks around, trying to find something to cut the barbed wire. As then, hey, will this do? As he pulls out his spear. That'll work. As he uses the spear, it just kind of starts moving the barbed wire a little bit. This is going to take some time. As Toxin's moving his hooves with the spear, trying to loosen up the barbed wire. Z starts to make a camp. He starts to gather some sticks, grass, and several other items. He starts setting up a tent too. As Toxin is really trying to open it, as he's gotten at least a bit of a way where he can stick his front two hooves through, but he's still at it. As it's becoming nightfall, Toxin, you can stop. It's basically almost nightfall. I almost have it. Also, as he looks back and he notices that he's about to get fire started, as Toxin runs over and stops him from starting a fire. Hey, what was that for? It's gonna get cold out here. We're on the edge of Raider territory. You set a fire. They're gonna notice, especially if they're Pegasuses. What? You didn't know? This is one of the Raider territory's most notable bases. Not many people know of this place. But I do. I walked through their territory before. You said, and some idiot, like what you were about to do, set a fire. He was a little bit away from my camp when I heard firing. You don't set a fire, especially in raid territory. But we need to stay warm. We'll have to find another way. Lighting a fire near raider territory is like a death sentence. For most, if they don't take you captured. So, hey. Let's just focus on getting through. It's best we move at night, when all of them are asleep anyway. But I set up the tent, we'll tear it down. I don't want to stay here for as much longer as we need to. Have you had run-in with raiders before? I may have ran into their boss at least some time ago. I would prefer if we don't have to run into him again. Alright, I get your message. As he starts to take down the tent. I owe him, so I must get him through and try to find his sister. So, as he finally managed to get a hole through the fence enough to fit both of them, as Toxin's the first one to crawl through, as, well, Z falls behind. I would have your gun at the ready. They may not all be asleep. They like to have at least a few scouts. Most likely, anyway. As they start to walk around, as the Raider territory is full of cliffs, rocks, cactuses, it's basically like kind of a maze going through a large area of rocks and hills. As they're walking through, so what experience have you had with these raiders? Well, a lot of them wear masks, for the most part. I just hope I don't run into their leader again. Did you get caught by them? Long story short, I ran into their boss once. I just simply managed to see him, but I prefer not to see him again. Because once he saw me, the other raiders made their way towards me. I barely got out with my life. As he starts to move on, as he then hides behind a rock, what are you doing? As in, well, Toxin grabs Z before putting him behind the rock as well. Shh. What are you doing? Take a look. Up there on the hill. Very top rock. As Z pulls his head out to look as he sees a raider just standing on top of one of the rocks looking out. Listen, it's gonna be morning soon, so we gotta make it hurry. Is he looking? No? Then we run. As both of them start, well, running towards the other rock, as they quickly slide. As the raider on the hill looks over, seeing nothing but a couple of dust, thinking it's just some wind blowing the dust around. As he looks the other direction, to the bush, as Toxin and Z just run and jump into a bush. As, my hoof! As Z had, gotten a thorn out of one of the bushes they had just jumped into. As he pulls out, shh, we need to make as less noise as possible. We don't know if that's the only one. I don't want to be here as long as I can. So come on. As they start to move through the bushes, where are you taking me? As he then moves a bush a little bit before revealing a secret area. In here. As they crawl into, the secret area. As it reveals a small room, we can stay here for the night. It's a little hideout I built while I was stuck in the Raider territory for a bit. Luckily, they haven't found it. As he starts looking around the room where there seemingly is a chair, a sofa somehow, cabinet, drawers, like a full-on survival area. Wow, how'd you get all this stuff in here? I didn't. I found it. I put some stuff in here, but all the furniture and all that was here when I found it. It seems like one of the raiders' getaway spots, or a old hideout that was forgotten. When I came here, it was all dusty. Still dusty and has cobwebs, but hey, not as much as last time. I was here about 2-3 months ago. We took about a month to get to Raider territory, so it should be at least a little bit before we get out of it. How long are we going to have to go through Raider territory? It took me 3 to 4 months just to cross Raider territory. That long? We don't have that time. You're going to have to deal with it. Raider territory is vast. Or at least for the most part. They constantly have scouts observing everywhere. I only got out by luck. I found a hole in the fence. Then why don't we go through that one? Because I don't know where that hole is. I got out in a different section of the Raider territory. Not the way we came in. As Z pulls out his gun, I guess we may have to use this. A pistol. They're gonna have more guns than we can handle. Do you even know how to fire that thing? Not really. I was only taught a little bit by Tom. Hand it. as Z hands the gun to Toxin. As they walk a little bit in, as he opens the door, luckily I found this as well, as it seems to be like an old, well, shooting range. As, how many rounds do you got? I've got at least 3 mags in my bag. As he aims and fires at the 3 targets, hitting them perfectly in the head. Wow, you're really good. Yeah. Have to learn some skills. Although I wish I still had my sniper that was lost in that tower, but... oh well. Alright. As he then pulls out the mag, sees that there's only 6 bullets left. As he tosses the gun back to Z, as he barely manages to catch it. Don't drop that thing, we don't need a stray bullet in here. As Z puts it away. You got 6 bullets in there. Keep count of how many bullets you got. It's the best way to know how to survive. Also, best way to know when to reload. Okay? Now listen very carefully. As they walk back into the other room, as Toxin takes a seat on the couch. Raider territory is complicated at most. The Raiders can be split off into factions. They're not necessarily. What do you mean split off into factions? What I mean is, the Raiders don't get along. Whenever there's a dispute, they'll sometimes distribute into factions and fight each other. The one that mostly wins the factions is, well, they call him Fred. Fred? Yeah. Can't remember what was his name. He was an Earth Pony, very skilled in combat. That's what I've heard from rumors. They say he's one of the bosses, or the boss of the place. I can't be sure for certain, but... So you saw him? Saw him once. He has a... how to put it? A crazy look about him. In fact, he does little test runs where, as they're talking, they hear an explosion. They like to explode things as their little room starts to shake. Is that why it started to shake? Yes. Fred is an explosive expert that loves explosions, so they'll do tests on types of explosives around the area, destroying rocks, which makes this one of the perfect places for their bases, because they can do as much, destruction as possible. Now, get some rest, we'll leave in the morning. But I thought you said it would be safer to leave at night. Yeah, but during certain times, raiders don't usually check the area. So we'll move from there, grab as much supplies as you can, as he just, falls, goes to the to the chair and falls asleep, as Toxin is just walking around the room, looking for something. Looking to see if anything was messed with, to tell if, his place was found. Got lucky. They didn't find it. As Toxin just goes to the little entry point where he crawled in, as he crawls out and looks around. As you notice 3, raiders flying in the air, 3 Pegasuses. As he quickly hides it in the bush. As they're flying by, as one of them stops and look at the bush. As the other 2 fly back, hey, what are you doing? We gotta patrol the rest of the area. It's almost midnight, and I would like to get some sleep before morning. I thought I saw something. Sorry, sir. He's new to the Raider patrol area at night. Just let him be. Now come on. I would also like some sleep. Let's finish with our patrol. Yes, sir, as they start to fly away. As Toxin sighs. As he crawls back in. That was close. Raiders. Why do they always have to be a pain? He starts to go through a few documents that he had in his base. As he reads it. Why do these things have to be here? As he reads some of the documents, the city, and it has the layout of like the city that he was referring to. I really don't want to have to go back there, but if it's to help Z repay a debt, to him at least, I'll have to. As he closes the document before putting him in his bag. As before, he just falls asleep on the sofa. As morning arises, as he's the first one up, as he decides to gather some food that he was stored in the base, puts it in his bag. As Toxin wakes up. So did you sleep well? Yeah, although it's not a bed, but it'll work. Don't expect to sleep on beds. We've been sleeping on rocks for a few days. I really gotta say, this is an improvement. We've been wandering towards this area for a while. Now come on. As they crawl out of the entry point they came in. As Z looks around but doesn't see any raiders. I don't see anything. Then let's move. As they start to move on foot through raider territory. We've gotten lucky so far. As then a bullet is heard as it, hits right in front of Z as Toxin pulls him back. What was that? I think you were spotted. As Toxin goes to the other side of the rock, looks around for the person that shot, but doesn't see anything. They're hidden. If I had to guess, they're in the tree several miles out. A tree? Yeah. As then they hear some Pegasus coming their way. We gotta run. As Z pulls out his pistol, as Tom grabs it from him. What was that for? Listen. You're not gonna be able to move or hit those Pegasus in the air. Move. As they start to run the other direction, as a few Pegasuses start to come over and start firing, as they're running, as Toxin turns around, fires, hitting one in the wing, as it manages to spin out of control and just hit it into a rock before falling to the ground, as the other two Pegasus are falling behind. As both Z and Toxin are galloping away. Come on. As they turn behind a rock, as Z sees a nearby cave, as Toxin stops, sees the cave too, before just pushing Z into it, as he stumbles down and just starts to roll into a cave. As then Toxin would just shoot a rock as it would collapse on the entry point of the cave. As he then hears the Pegasus coming. Good luck, my friend, I suppose. I've only known you for about a month or two, but hopefully you've survived through this. As one of the Pegasus turn the corner, Toxin hits one of their masks, causing it to crack, as he can't see, as he just flies into a rock. As one of the boulders on top falls down onto him, squishing him. As Toxin starts running, as the other Pegasus starts to shoot his shotgun, managing to miss Toxin, luckily. As he's running away. Stupid raiders. As he keeps firing, as then he turns a corner, as he then sees a rusted gate with several raiders up front. As the raider that had chased him is behind him. Put down the weapon. As Toxin will put down the gun. I guess it's not gonna end well. As then the gates would open up as several raiders come out. Come on, let's just kill the man. As then an earth pony would approach. No. We need a new person now that someone had killed one of my men. As the pony has a smile. As Toxin looks up. Oh, it's you. Long time no see, Toxin. Fred. And that is the end of episode 2 of the MLP Zebra That Was Corrupted story. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.